Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am John Donadio, a.k.a. Some Beardy to Love, and with me, as always,
is Katie McKinley, a.k.a. Gonna Shock Them.
And these two gentlemen you've already seen, Robbie and Norris from Checkpoint Radio. What's going on, guys?
What's cracking, or as we say back home, what up, though?
Good.
That's right.
We are here at day 2 at Barclays Center for the Overwatch League Grand Finals with Spitfire versus Fusion. How you guys feeling for this matchup today?
I mean, I don't know. We were staunchly Philly last night. I'm not saying I'm ready to eat my words, but I'm still going to go in positively, even though London showed up big time.
Yeah, we still got 2 games to go, and they were close games. In the OWL, anything can happen.
That's
so
right.
I didn't expect to go 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
You know, I need to give you guys a little bit of hope. Make it interesting.
We absolutely need. All right, so we've got the win under our belt right now. As for those that don't know, Spitfire, Katie and I are fans. You guys are cheering for Fusion. That's okay. That keeps good camaraderie.
The banter.
The banter going,
yeah.
right? So Spitfire won last night, 3 games to 1, and now tonight Fusion is backed up against the wall, and I really do think that they're going to come out like an animal in those first rounds. I really think that we're going to go to 3 games easy.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think so, too. And not just because of how London played, but as Robbie said, those games were a lot closer than what they appeared on paper, especially that last Volskaya map.
Yep.
That was absolutely nuts.
I couldn't believe. I mean, at the end of those, we were just screaming so loud and so hard, like we were just like, and nobody could believe what was going on.
Yes.
Well, and what was so telling about that match, too, is that Philly's win rate on Volskaya was so abysmal, and the fact they pushed them to overtime on point A and point B just shows that they got their focus back. So long as they took the night and the morning to really get themselves in the zone, going in today, I think we're going to see a different Philly.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions all night yesterday, and I'm really excited to see. I definitely think we're going to end up going into the second set later on tonight. It's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I made the unfortunate mistake on that last map of being so hyped that I ended up embracing Robbie. And there were a lot of eyes on us. It was a tragic mistake, and I'm sorry, Robbie, that I did that to you.
No, it's all good, man.
I was so overwhelmed at what was going on
Look,
stage.
when Poco drops the bomb, okay, you can't help but just let your emotions go wild.
That is true. I was aflush with joy and confusion.
Which was, I think everybody's feeling in that whole place.
And then was quickly dashed
and
by
then it was
Profit
quickly
on his
dashed when
Hanzo.
then I jumped up and screamed, "Woo!" Like, I went nuts at the end of that. But again, like, half of us didn't even know what was going on. It happened so fast and so quickly that the fact that London even pulled ahead was unbelievable.
Yeah, and even in some of the post-match conferences where they sat back and kind of talked about their strategy, they literally were just like, I just killed the Mercy. I didn't know.
That
we had no plan.
great.
We had no plan. We had no idea what was going on. I just
Someone had asked. So we didn't really get to see it, but could you tell us sort of what went down when you got the Mercy? The tank called out, killed the Mercy, so I killed the Mercy.
Matter of fact, you did what you had to do.
Right. He did his job well.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are your real predictions for the next couple of matches coming up?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a 3-1 in Philly's favor. And I'm still going to ride with Philly all the way through. I think they're going to do the reverse sweep in another 3-1. And that's going to be our champion.
Okay.
I think we're going to see more than just the 4 games. I think we're going to get at least 1 draw here tonight at some point. These teams are way too close and way too into each other not to see at least 1 draw. So I think a 3-1 prediction's not bad. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 3-2 going the full 5. Going into the 3rd series though, I don't know. It's gonna go hard all the way to game 5.
Yes.
Or we're gonna see from one team or another, we're gonna see the 3-0.
My nerves couldn't take a game 5 in the 3rd.
My hands are already shaking. There's no
I could
way.
not take a 5th map. Like that's ridiculous. I'm already devastated by the first day. I wouldn't be able to take it if London won in the last map on the last game.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up going in for the 5th map.
I don't want to do that.
You know,
We'll see.
even before Dorado ended yesterday, like my hands were sore from clapping.
Yeah.
I could tell my throat. Like in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be wrecked. It was so loud in there.
Oh, that was the first thing we did. We were like, man, we gotta get some acai bowls. We gotta get some tea. We gotta do
Gotta
something.
get that good
Got that
energy.
organic
I literally
blue
actually went
magic.
home.
We gotta get the blue magic.
I went home and got the like lodgings, and it was just like drank tea, and then I went to bed. Like I was like, yo, my voice is gonna be done. Like I can even hear. I feel the scratchy
I feel
already.
it too. Everybody. The energy was so crazy, and then like when Jeff Kaplan came into the arena, and
that was so
everybody
cool.
just lost it. It was absolutely amazing, and it was a watershed moment for more than just Overwatch, for esports in general, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah, it was super overwhelming for me because I was in the newsroom last night watching live from Twitch, and as you guys were screaming while you were there, everyone in the entire studio heard me screaming as I'm like literally, no, oh my God, go, like literally the entire time until I had to go on for the Wide World of Games. And I saw the moment when Kaplan was on camera and he just had this look of how proud he was.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone cheering his. He's like, this is my baby. Look at this. This is, I did this. This is amazing. And I never thought I'd be here.
I was overwhelmed right with him. The crowd was great, and even though there was some, banter back and forth between fans, everybody was overwhelmingly positive. Everybody. You didn't see fans, giving each other crap. You saw them all like cheering, and even when London would do something, the Philly fans would be like, wow, that was a good play. And vice versa. So it was a really amazing thing to just see that type of community come together.
I stated that on Checkpoint last night, actually. I was like, it's just good to see, like, as many cheers and jeers as there were for both teams. Either way, it wasn't like when you see a Yankee game when it's Yankee versus Boston and they're all like fist fighting and like yelling and screaming at each other. There was none of that here. It was just like, we are gamers and we are here and we are making a statement and we're all together.
Yeah, when you talk about this being a defining moment, and especially that look on Jeff's face, obviously Overwatch is a success, right? That's a dream that's been realized for a while now. But with everyone in there, all 20,000 fans, everyone in there at the same time, like it's not like he just came out of here and made that realization himself. Everyone in there was sharing that moment at the exact same time. The roar of the crowd, the energy that you could just feel, it was incredible.
Well, and that's the thing, is that you're right. Everybody experienced it at the same time. I mean, it was the fans, their first time at something that big for esports.
Right.
The players, their first time. The owners, the executives, the developers. It was the first time anybody had done anything like this on this scale for esports and Overwatch. And it was an absolutely amazing thing to even just be a part of. Even sitting down in the press room where you expect all the old, cynical, like I've been doing this for 40 years. No, even they were down there just glued. People who I could tell never watched a game of Overwatch.
Right.
I'm going to hijack the hosting duties here real quick. And John, I want to ask you a question.
Sure,
You said you actually got to come to the Barclays Center before for ESL 1 for Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
How was that in comparison to this?
In comparison, it was different because you have so many other teams competing. So there was a lot of different teams there. Like, I root for Fnatic. I know.
That's a mistake.
I know. It's like rooting for the Mets, I think. Anyway, but I love them anyway. But they went pretty well, and it's 75% full. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing like this. I mean, sold out, energy crazy. Like when those games were on, though, I mean, you felt it like, I am part of this. Like, this is amazing to me.
When Carpe or Birdring hit one of those sweet Widow headshots.
Yeah.
Like,
like
your heart flutters.
But when you start off and you have like just a handgun round and people they are like screaming at like major headshots and stuff like that at CSGO. I mean, it's not the same, but it's the same. You know what I mean? Like that energy of being a gamer and being a part of it. But like, this is on another level.
Yeah, it's like the difference between a touchdown and a home run, right?
Yeah.
Everybody still gets excited, but a home run doesn't happen every game. A
Right,
touchdown usually does.
Touchdown usually has to happen.
I like that one. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, and for the longest time, we were talking about this earlier, esports has blown up so much over the past few years.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, the video game community, it was more of like a niche, small community.
Yeah.
And over time, no one expected something like this to happen the way that it has happened. We are in Brooklyn, New York City for the Overwatch Grand Finals. Like, No one expected that.
I mean, I definitely couldn't imagine it, considering like my background is a lot in the FGC and stuff. So it's like that is the grassroots of grassroots.
Right.
And you know, seeing people hold tournaments in their dorm rooms and at student unions and stuff like that. And that was as big as it got. If you had a school that supported you, to put on a Street Fighter tournament, that was like, oh man, we made it.
We're
we
legit,
have arrived. And now to see the scale that this is on, even with Evo and stuff like that, to see the scale that it's become, I mean, I'm absolutely floored every day. I mean, this time 3 years ago, I couldn't have imagined that we'd be doing a show about esports.
But when you look at the way that video games are consumed nowadays, honestly, it shouldn't come as a surprise. It's now a communal thing. It's a family thing. I mean, you've told us stories about how you enjoy games with your dad.
Yep.
And the way now, as gamers who grew up with it are creating families, they're sharing it with their kids. We've had people call into our show or email into our show talking about how they listen to our show with their kids, like on the radio.
That's awesome.
And just like I grew up watching football and baseball with my dad or hockey with my grandpa, they're doing that now with esports. So, it's a tidal wave now that seems like it can't get any bigger. But as the years go on, that's all it's going to do, because now people are growing up with it. They don't know anything else.
Yeah, I was introduced through it from my dad too as well. And although they were smaller games like, The Legend of Zelda or even the Hobbit game on my Game Boy, that awful thing, it was still an introduction that kind of affected me for the rest of my life. And to see this now after growing up with such like small little things like that meant the world to me, this is just an overwhelmingly amazing experience to even be here or watch it in general.
And I think that's really, what Overwatch has done well with the Overwatch League, especially now with the Grand Finals. They're being played on Disney XD and ESPN, and I think, for as much as we laud, oh man, they're on ESPN proper, this is amazing, Disney XD is really the big win, because that demographic is now going to forever grow up with Overwatch. They're going to forever take that with them.
Well, and I think both of those two channels give something different. You're right. Disney XD is helping to inspire and prepare a younger generation. And ESPN obviously is so good. It kind of gives us a certain air of like authenticity. Like
legitimacy.
We made it now, right? You can't argue. ESPN has recognized us.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking about all the social media stuff that was coming out last night as people were talking about the Grand Finals on ESPN. It was like the very first comment is, "This is not a sport," and it's like
the Overwatch League official Twitter handle replied with that SpongeBob meme. Not a sport.
and it's like then and we talked about it last night. You saw then the litany of fans come out with like statistics and numbers and studies and articles about just how difficult it is to play Overwatch or any esport at the highest level. And without a doubt, it's a sport. It's more of a sport than poker is, and they've dedicated countless hours to poker. No offense to anybody that plays poker.
One of the things that I think really hit me on social media wasn't the esports supporters or even the detractors. It's that there's this whole middle ground of people who don't have much of an interest in sports or esports, either way. And depending on where they were, whether they were in a casino, whether they were in a bar somewhere, and they look up and they see this on the screen, and the first thing in their mind isn't, oh, what is this? This isn't a sport. They just see, and the first thing they think is, like it's interest, it's peaked, and they just accept it.
I mean, that's how I discovered soccer. Like, I wasn't big into soccer, and it was the Women's World Cup was on one day, and I was like, yo, this is kind of lit. And next thing I know, like, Robbie, if we're not talking about esports, I'm talking about soccer. And the same thing is going to happen for Overwatch, and the same thing is going to happen for so many esports. The more exposure that they get, there's going to be those people who sit back and go, what is this? And next thing you know, they're lifelong fans.
I've told this story before to you guys where I was in a bar, and this guy comes up to the bartender and says, hey, can you change the channel to ESPN? I'm not really into video games, because it was CSGO and it was playing on the screen. And the bartender looked at them dead in the eye and said, this is ESPN. and they were like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah, sorry, man. And they were like, all right. And they just sat there and watched it because it was there. So they like actually watched it. So imagine all the people that have never watched Overwatch or a video game competition in their life. This happens.
Right.
On ESPN, Disney, all that stuff. Like, that's like, wait, what is going on? And then they sit there and they just watch it because they're like, this is what's on.
It's on
Okay.
ESPN.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
see, I think that's awesome because you have something like Overwatch being played right now, and it's such a dynamic game, right? It's a game where stuff is consistently happening. There's not a lot of downtime.
Right.
So it doesn't have that sort of baseball or soccer effect where there's 30 seconds of not much going on. There's always something happening if the game is going, and I think that actually gets people to kind of stick and sit and watch it. Because, I mean, if you heard some of those crowd pops, that was absent. There's no way anybody could watch something like that on ESPN or live TV and not be at least somewhat engaged with it.
Right.
And that's not even to say, you know, to what they're actually missing too, because I was actually kind of watching on Twitch as we were there watching just to see like the difference in production quality. So, you know, they're still getting like the stat sheets, you know, from the different players in between, as we're getting like these close-ups of like people in the crowd dancing as they're playing the music, you know, doing that Lucio amp it up thing that they got. Like the crowd in there, I just keep going back to that, how alive it was. Because I've been to sporting events before.
Of course.
And you're right, whether it's the NFL, the MLB, there is still a certain sense of once you get in your seat, you know, when something happens, it's exciting. But when nothing's happening, you're just kind of sitting there, waiting for something to happen.
None of that here.
And it's just here, it's constant, 24/7, like every single second, electrifying.
Yeah, there was a guy from the radio in Texas, in Houston, I believe it was, that was sitting directly behind us. And I turned around to him, I was like, man.
He was from Dallas.
Oh, Dallas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Dallas, we don't have an affiliate in Dallas, so
And, you know,
you guys need to get on that.
They got the front
and the fuel. But anyway, I turn around to him and I go, like, I've been to NBA final games that aren't this electric. You know, championship games in major sports that don't have this much energy. So I was just very, very, very impressed with the crowd and the community, and I can't speak to it enough about how great they were.
And the fact that, you know, as we were saying, people are going to sit down and watch it. If it's on ESPN, it forces people to say, hey, this has gotten so big. This is where this is right now. I'm going to pay attention. This is something to pay attention to. People who never once would think that esports would blow up as much as it did are now seeing what's happening and what's been going on, and they're like, wow, this is actually huge, and I need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, and I mean, when it goes to that next level, sitting down in those press conferences and hear somebody say, yeah, I'm such and such from ESPN, I'm such and such from Bleacher Report, and right after that, this is such and such from .esports. I love that.
Yeah.
That was so great. Like, this is such and such from Kotaku.
That's
like,
great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, to hear those publications, those websites, those, you know, blogs and outlets all in the same room, having to, you know, dedicate the same amount of energy.
You know, those sports journalists were so out of the realm, though. They were just like, they got sent here and had no idea what they were in for, and then probably were like, this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun.
And you know, I would be remiss if I didn't admit that there was a certain level of vindication for me when those, you know, traditional sports guys got in there and realized how out of their depth they were. I heard a question was like, why you guys up there using those hand warmers? Was that you who was using the hand warmers?
And I mean, like, that was akin to asking basketball players, like, oh, okay, you've switched over to a headband now. Was that you wearing the headband, or what's that about?
I noticed you put on a knee brace halfway through the game. Are you okay?
Like, it's one of those type of things where, of course, these are all professionals, but, you know, we had I had a 45-minute gripe session last night just about how, I don't want to say insulting, but it was clear that so many of the people down there were out of their element.
What it did is it showed that this is more than just kids playing video games.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of, you know, 40 and 50-year-old guys who've been on sports beats for a long time, and no disrespect, because I know how difficult a sports beat can be sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
But you could tell that they were bringing that same type of, you know, energy towards this, and it required so much more.
Right.
And it was great to see, like, the gaming and esports publications kind of ask those tougher questions that, you know, Philly, you know, they lost and they were despondent. They didn't want to answer certain questions. And there were a few where they just looked out into the crowd, like, with the 100-yard stare, just like, that was a great question and I don't want to answer it right now.
Oh, no.
All right, so let's move along here for just a second. You guys have spent the last couple of days in Brooklyn. What do you think?
Well, look, I'm a very small town city boy. Like graduating class of like 120. We had like 3 bars, a post office, and a party store. Like that was the town that I grew up in.
Sounds like mine.
I've been to LA, but Brooklyn. We went into New York earlier too. It's a different monster, man. It is a different monster,
Yeah,
but it's something else.
I've been here, many times. I've been to Brooklyn, all the boroughs. Well, not Staten Island, but I've been to all the boroughs. And
I'm just joking. I'm just kidding.
And I've never actually stayed in Brooklyn. And I really dig the energy. I dig how it is slightly slower. It's still the city,
Right.
but it's slightly slower. I really, really dig that. And this reminds me a lot of downtown Detroit, where we're from, and I really dig it. I really enjoy it here. I would love if this is where we all had to reconvene every year for the Overwatch Finals. I would love that.
Yeah.
Just throwing out there, if we do that next year, Checkpoint Radio will do the after party, because the one that we went to could barely be called a party.
Yeah, we're going to do a
Hold
Be
you to
Terrific
it.
Checkpoint Radio after party.
Oh,
in
yeah.
which
Oh,
anyone
man.
is invited, and it is going to be a real party.
We're going to show you how we
not what
party
we
in
experienced
Detroit.
last night.
That would be, a Be Terrific Checkpoint Radio after party collab would be a world beater.
Would you
Oh, yeah.
say that it would be terrific?
Look at that.
Pun of
That
the
was
day. Pun of the
perfect.
day. That's
Perfect. Now, I think it's really awesome that they brought it to the Barclays Stadium because this area for the longest time wasn't necessarily an area that people were interested in going to.
Yeah.
The Barclays literally rejuvenated the entire area, and we're seeing bars and restaurants pop up, new privately owned businesses, more traffic coming in, and I think it's amazing that they decided to bring the Overwatch Grand Finals here so that they could bring in even more traffic to show everyone what's going on.
And
in,
things are still
Brooklyn.
being built. You can see them right actually behind us here. Things are still being built and still being renovated. But the fact that like all the different restaurants, all the different bars, it accommodates everybody. So whether you're a basketball fan, you're an esports fan, which Barclays absolutely believes in. They want to bring like everything here. They're like, you don't want, like, Garden won't take you? Fine, come here. Come and hang out with us. We are the Barclays Center. We are doing esports right. Like.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing, because everybody, the Garden is iconic. Everybody wants to play at the Garden.
Right.
But I think Barclays has made a concerted effort to say, no, if you want to do esports, come to us.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's one of those great type of partnerships that I see being fostered. And you're right, I love the energy of the area. I love the fact that I see people walking around on the street with Nixel jerseys, with Philly jerseys, with London jerseys. We've seen almost every team. We've seen a Shanghai Dragons.
We did.
jersey.
We saw Shanghai.
I saw Seoul Dynasty earlier.
Yeah, so
Good for Shanghai.
and
I'm a fan out here.
everybody's out here representing quite well. And the best part about it is that people are being stopped by strangers on the street who have no idea what this thing is, but they see the jerseys, they see the hats, they see the cosplayers, and they're going, what is this all about? And people are stopping. People are taking time out of whatever they're doing and saying, hey, this is what's going on, this is the game. I'm seeing people pull out their phones and show video. It's absolutely amazing.
The closest
to see
thing
what he's
that
done.
most New Yorkers know is New York Comic Con. And so we all know what New York Comic Cons are because the subways are filled with cosplayers.
I love it.
And it's amazing. It really is. So, like, this area wasn't really used to that. So the fact that people are stopping and being like, wait, so what's going on here? Why are there so many jerseys? What are these jerseys? What are the people playing? Who's coming here? But it also gives people like coming out of town, out of different towns and coming here and going to the art centers and all the different bars and restaurants and just like, and everyone's cool. Everyone's just like, oh my God, like, oh, you're a Philly fan. I'm a Boston fan. And this is the first time a Boston fan can walk around in New York and not get harassed.
You're definitely right.
Yeah, there's a certain level of seeing the surrounding community get involved too. When we were walking around last night, we actually saw outside a bar, one of the little signs said Overwatch drink specials.
Awesome.
So, to see the local businesses also sort of embracing it and getting in on it like that, it's
they
so
have that one
cool.
guy that works there that knows anything about Overwatch.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
oh, we'll make a Farrah drink and we'll make a,
just gotta be
recovery
blue.
drink.
Oh yeah, I saw it was like a Nerf this.
That's That's awesome.
Another one was like
It's made with Mountain Dew.
Yeah, right?
it was like a
Across-
Poco Bomb. That was the one I
The
saw. I saw the
Poco
Poco
Bomb.
Bomb.
Cocoa Bomb. That's
Yeah.
great. I
It
love
was great, and I love to see stuff like that because you're right. Every other sport has that going. You know, you walk into a town, you got on, you know, a Red Wings jersey. Everybody knows what that is.
Right.
You know, you walk around with a Yankee fitted. Everybody knows what that is. It's gonna get to a point at some time. I don't know if it's this year, next year, 5 years from now, but it's gonna get to a point where you're gonna see people with esports jerseys on, and people are gonna be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I think it's coming faster than you think because every single prediction, every single person, you know, or company or headline that you know reported on the Overwatch League before it started, they all undervalued them, and Blizzard consistently outperforms and just blows up people's expectations. So I can't even imagine what season 2 is going to look like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, what I hope is that somebody could be walking down the street talking about Jonak, and a random stranger will turn around and be like, "Yo, Jonak's overrated, bro. Yo, actually,
He's gonna be the new
like,
Kobe."
Yeah, that's what I want. I want that level of debate. You know, I want
Yeah.
people debating at the barbershop. I want people debating in their, you know, in their, you know, school
You
libraries.
toss something to your buddy from across the room, Jonak.
Yeah, all that stuff like that. I want that. I want all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's gonna be absolutely great to see that level of energy.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely think that it's coming sooner rather than later. As we saw, like walking through the city, even when I was in my lift this morning, I was seeing people walk in their jerseys, like, and walk in their all their like gear like decked out, and I was just like, this is not only, you know, in Comic-Con is usually that's my convention.
Yeah.
So, you know, whenever I'm in the city for Comic-Con, I'm like, this is our weekend. We are taking over New York City. And now that it's the Overwatch Grand Finals, I'm just like, all right, I have a second weekend of the
another
year.
weekend.
Yeah.
It's coming from a professional cosplayer, by the way. Professional cosplayer right here. That's
Thanks. Thanks.
I mean, but that's a huge deal, and that's what you need moving forward. You need people to feel like they have that ownership over
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And I think once they feel that, that's when you see people being a lot more open with what it is that they're into. And we see that with virtually everything nowadays. But with esports, man,
You know what I'm waiting for, and this is probably going to take at least another season or two, because we know in season 2, all the teams are still going to be located in LA, right? But
Right.
once you start getting teams out to their own cities, getting their own stadiums built, what I'm looking forward to is we don't have to wait for our 1 or 2 weekends, right?
Right.
Right.
Where when you're just walking around every day, and you know you're riding in your Lyft, you're riding your Uber, and you see Nixel jersey there.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's a few guys
Another
there.
one,
Oh,
and
there's
another
the
one.
husband
Another
with his
one.
Shanghai wife. You know, wearing the red jersey, right?
Exactly.
which is funny.
Get the bird
'cause
ring jerseys
Yeah,
out.
Yeah.
That's funny because DJ Khaled's doing a set.
I think I did read that.
Once
Yeah.
when we get in there, so that made me think of that.
I'm excited. I'm getting pumped up for
Another
that.
one.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, I would love that, and that actually will begin to foster some of those rivalries even more, right? So going forward, I mean, Philly and New York already have sort of I'm not gonna call it a real rivalry. It's a pseudo rivalry.
They always have a
They knocked them
rivalry.
out of the championship
Yeah.
in their own home. That's gotta hurt.
Oh,
But
yeah.
now, I think now, especially, you know, once Philly is in Philly week in, week out, and Nixel is here in New York week in, week out, and when they travel, that's going to increase that rivalry
Right.
tenfold.
Oh yeah.
You think they'll do the color thing where, like, you know, like how an away game goes, they wear white,
Oh,
you
the
know,
different-
stuff like that.
Well,
You think
because
they're gonna-
yeah, they already technically do it. I'm not sure. Obviously, for the playoffs, you know, the higher
It's
seed
different, right? It's
is
their-
the
it's
home
their
game.
colors
So
or
I'm not really
whatever.
sure how they determine that through the regular season. But
Yeah.
absolutely, they have it built in. So yeah, why
Yeah,
not use it?
that's again, this whole OWO, the whole framework is built from traditional sports. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't do that. So
Yeah.
definitely they're going to do all of that stuff, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to once everybody gets in their own cities, for sure.
Yeah, I really can't wait to be able to see that rivalry. And like as you said before, you know, you get the rivalry between different cities, and like with Philly, you know, you get the Eagles and the Giants, whole fun stuff, and that's absolutely ridiculous. I hope it doesn't get to that point where it's that kind of rivalry where
'Cause I do
Philly
like
has
what's
a
going
prison
on
in
now.
there.
Yeah.
You
or
know,
a
like
jail
the
in there.
camaraderie.
Okay,
Yeah.
that may be, but I'd like to also get to a point where we get to see a little bit between the players. You know,
Yeah.
we saw going into the stage 4 playoffs. You know, when was it the LA Gladiators had called out?
Was it the
Who'd they play?
Gladiators?
They have 2 teams, the LA.
Oh, who was it?
Oh.
But basically, yeah, they got to pick the team, and they're like, we don't need a practice round. We want to go up against,
against
right.
That's
calling
what
them
it
out
was.
like that. That's what I need. I need more like rivalry.
I don't mind
and
players rivaling, but
built
like
up between players.
Well,
listen,
that's
I like
great.
you,
That's
so
what
I don't
like.
want to like you came at me yesterday a little bit, and I was like,
Oh,
all right.
I'm sorry.
Kept getting the notifications on Twitter.
I didn't realize I hurt your feelings. I thought in New York you guys were a little bit tougher.
No, I was
okay.
totally joking.
I will temper my words.
All right, listen
today.
here.
All right, guys, let's go. Stop.
No, and I'm turning around and I'm like, Robbie, shut up. They're winning. They're winning. Shut
They
up.
still got 2 games to go.
No,
That's
They
right.
do.
They do.
Anything can happen.
But I'm
And literally anything can happen.
I want to
These
see
teams
that
are so
between-
close.
I want to see that between the players, and
Yes,
London
that's
kind of
what I'd
came
like
out
to
with a
see,
little
yeah,
bit of extra swagger, as opposed to Philly, because Philly kind of came out and they were like, "Hey guys,
They look so nervous.
what's
Yeah.
And
Carpe coming out?"
Spitfire had
Yeah.
the matching shoes.
Yeah, they had
It's
the
like, I'm
shoes.
here, let's go. And like,
Profit,
Philly was
Profit.
like,
Yeah, Prophet comes out, does the RVD. Like,
yeah, here we go.
I was like, yo, this is crazy. And that's what I want to see, because we talk a lot on Checkpoint Radio about esports, about its marketability, and about what the next level of it is. And we always said, why can't they take cues from, like, the WWE, right, and start having that face-heel dynamic
Oh my
where,
goodness.
there are teams that people love to hate.
Right.
There are teams that people, or players that people love to hate, that play into that. You know what I mean?
Right.
The fighting game community kind of has that already. You have people like Wolf Crone and Low Tier God, like
Low Tier God, man, his rivalries are
like
Yeah.
they
him and
holy K-Brad.
Okay.
Yeah,
mhm.
or Low Tier God and a bunch of people and everybody.
My favorite was between him and Guilty.
Guilty.
That
Yeah.
was,
Oh my God.
that was ridiculous. I can't. That's another conversation.
Yeah, but they wholly embrace that sort of like villainness.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'd be totally cool to see like who becomes the Oakland Raiders of the OWL, right? Like who becomes just like the bad boys of
Who's
Overwatch?
the Triple H of esports?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
right.
who comes in and they run a really just scummy meta,
Yeah.
but
well, that's,
still
in
beats
CS:GO,
everybody.
That's Navi. Because they're
Yeah.
like the dudes that work out. They're like total
all
jocks. They have
arms.
arms like bigger than my
Yeah.
head, and they are like the guys that you love to hate, but
yeah.
also love to watch because
Yes.
they're insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like
That's
yeah.
what I want. That's what I want. I want like a team of guys who just comes in, stomps over teams, and they're like, yeah, who like get fined but don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's room for both.
They want the
those type
Rodman.
of,
We want the Rodman
yes.
of esports.
Yeah, and there's room for both those types of rivalries too. I think the the battle for LAs, those tend to be pretty friendly. I
Yeah.
think, right? And maybe if the Lone Star State battles weren't so one-sided this season, we might have got that. We might have got that down in Texas. I think that one is ripe for it. If the field can maybe just step up a little bit more next season.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more.
yeah, they got the personnel. Well, I don't know. Houston doesn't really have those many.
Well,
I would say villains. I don't
well, they
know.
would be the
Ruckus and
face.
Muma are kind of sassy.
The face
They
of
could
villainy.
be. They could, but I feel like they
This
would end
started out
up
to be
being-
like a comic book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
well, I think Houston would end up being the face, and Dallas would have to be the heel.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So I would love to see that kind of stuff when it comes to the OWL, because that's part of what engages viewers. That's part of what engages
Yeah.
people to go out and buy jerseys and stuff like that, and really resonate and connect with a team, because you take on that personality as a fan as well.
Right.
A lot of people talk about Philly fans. They talk about the Eagles and how like it was
Sorry.
it was like the most. It's like the worst place to go and play because the fans are so oppressive and they're so energetic
Yeah.
Yeah.
that nobody wanted to go to Philly and play.
My boyfriend's a Giants fan and I'm an Eagles fan, so you can imagine
Oh,
how
wow.
football season is for us in our house.
Wow.
He refuses to go to a game at Philly. He's like, if we're gonna go to an Eagles and Giants game, we're going to the Giants stadium. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah, and I mean because it's actually intimidating.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, and I'm not saying people need to be getting beat up in the stands
No,
and
they
stuff
shouldn't
like
be.
that, most definitely. But that's what I hope. I hope that there are teams when everybody's in their own cities that people are like, man,
Yeah.
I really, really don't want to go to, New York, or I really, really don't want to go to Dallas, man,
I
because
think
those
the only-
fans are crazy.
The only
Yeah.
fear that I have is that this ends up being like soccer fans,
Oh.
where we like destroy a city after,
all right. But again, have you seen most OWL like fans? I mean, if we're taking after Carpe, they're not destroying much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure too many of them could be picking up
Carpe can
trash
barely lift
cans.
this thing.
Right. So we'll keep it. We'll keep it in Overwatch. Overwatch, and we'll just, destroy the supports, take down the DPS.
Right.
And
that's what I would rather. And then the fans just cheer either way.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
even like when Fusion pulled off like some amazing plays, and I was like, yeah, go! Like it didn't matter who I was cheering
There's
for.
no
at that
denying
point.
that someone makes a good play.
There's actually one point where I kind of got confused in the 2-2 because I'm just cheering. I'm like, oh, watch out, Prophet. I'm like, oh, wait, no, get Prophet. Get him.
It was absolutely wonderful to see stuff like that. And the biggest
That's a
thing.
great set.
Yeah, I love that. That's
Hi, guys.
awesome.
That's
You guys
awesome.
wanna come over?
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
We got an amazing Widowmaker
Yo,
headset
dude.
here.
Oh,
This is
we
great.
saw you last night.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's
That's
your name?
awesome.
My name is Liz.
Liz? No, you made this headset yourself, right?
Everything is made by me.
It's beautiful. Like it's so cool.
Thank you.
I've been trying to finesse my own because I want to do Talon Widowmaker for Comic-Con, and like the headset is what is giving me the most problem.
So you have to get all the details right. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks awesome.
All right, who are we cheering for tonight? I think we know who he's cheering for.
I see what we got
Yeah,
going
I
on
want to
here.
go with London, but I feel like Philadelphia will.
We'll pull it back.
right.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
you gotta
come
play the
back, I
smart
feel
game, play the
but
numbers.
You never know. It's gonna be.
We're
I
with
hope.
you on this one.
Yeah,
right.
I'm rooting more for London, but I think Philadelphia can rise
It'll
up.
be a difficult game, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. All right. So who's your favorite player on London?
Birdie.
Yeah.
Prophet.
Prophet.
Okay.
Bird,
Those
right.
plays he laid
Yeah.
down last night, how can you
Solid
not?
Plays yesterday.
Prophet's
All right.
May,
Awesome.
a demon.
That
Just
was-
a
May's
demon.
a demon anyway.
That was stupid. I hated that.
It was so good. Just taking people out left and right with May. I loved it.
Well, I know you guys got a lot of places to be. You're
Yes.
just hanging out. So thanks for stopping by.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you for
Randomly.
coming over. We appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm from Canada, by the way.
Canada.
Oh,
Canada
right.
representing.
Wow.
Canada representing.
They're from Canada, if you guys didn't hear.
All right.
Thanks for frosting you all up from Canada.
All right.
All right, be safe.
Have a
Guys,
good day,
enjoy,
guys.
all
Be
right?
safe.
Enjoy the
Thanks
rest
for
of the
coming
night.
over.
Yep.
Guys, we've been seeing some pretty awesome cosplayers. Earlier when we first started, there was and I'm Farrah main, so there was a Farrah cosplayer.
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes!
Oh, here we go.
And there's a Farrah cosplayer in a beret, and
Yeah.
she was just like walking. She's like,
And
all
had
right,
the eye makeup that was
and I
awesome.
was like, hi, I want to be your friend.
I'm so happy.
I was like, this is great.
Nobody's a Farrah main
I'm
but
a Farrah
me.
main. I'm a Farrah main.
That's
There
awesome.
And she's killer with that.
Hold on.
I'm not
I
even
gotta ask you
joking.
the same question I asked John, and he disappointed.
Uh huh.
Console or PC?
So.
Ah.
I
here we go.
Wait, listen. I was a college student who was broke and was living off of $5 every week.
Yeah.
So I had my Xbox One that everyone had, and I started on that, and I just
Not
this
even
year.
PlayStation?
Hold on. Oh, I had PlayStation,
Oh,
but
okay.
all of
Yeah.
my friends are on Xbox, so it kind of made no sense for me to do
To
it.
get
and
it
That's
there.
what I
yeah.
did.
So I just bought my first ever gaming computer this year, and I'm about to get Overwatch for my computer, and
Yeah.
I'm so
You got a
excited.
squad.
I was gonna
Yeah?
say you
Cool.
got a
Yeah.
squad.
So now we
This
have
means-
all four of us running in.
I,
Yeah.
I,
Oh, yeah.
I,
We
I
gotta-
think at
we
some
gotta-
point we just set up like a checkpoint radio versus the Be Terrific
That's a
custom
show.
games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Man, that would be absolutely cool because we
well,
got a few.
unfortunately, for Be Terrific, it's gonna be it has to be a 2v2.
Yeah,
or it's
because
like a
we don't have
4v2.
anybody else. Like,
So,
Oh
you know.
man, you guys don't have like buddies. I mean, get some of your viewers. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
We
That'd be
party with our
awesome.
viewers
Good.
all
So
the
if any
Invite some
time.
people
terrific
out.
viewers out there want to join us in
I'll
a
let you know,
matchup against
all of our
Checkpoint
viewers
Radio
are plat and diamond.
PC players.
They are actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a really good
Contingent.
good
Jeez.
contingent
all
of
right,
great.
he's not allowed to play.
You're banned.
I got like
you
6 or
caps.
7 of them.
Yeah, we could pull
a
them up.
Squad.
Jeez.
Pocket heels, man. We on the
You're
way.
gonna roll up you're gonna roll up like Spitfire with the shoes and all the swag, and you're gonna be like, all right, we got this, let's go. We're gonna be like Philly. We're gonna be like, hey guys. Hey guys.
John, you said your main was Junkrat and
May, Junkrat, and then
Devilman.
Symmetra.
You are the
Alright.
most annoying person
Yes.
on the
really
face
are.
of
I am
the
the
earth.
demon.
Really
That's
are.
what I come in as. I'm the
Oh
annoying
my
player.
God.
so you and I, as we're in the
the pharmacy.
with our pharmacy combo, we're gonna be like, bye bye,
Pharmacy,
Katie,
that's
bye
the
bye.
best. No, our pharmacy is the one and only ship, and that's the only thing. That's all I'm gonna say
Yes.
about
Pharmacy.
it.
Yes.
Pharmacy.
Yes. So
All right, wait. Explain pharmacy for the viewers that
Okay.
don't know what that is.
So everybody should probably know what shipping is, but
We know
I
what
don't, I
shipping
don't know
is.
if they should know what shipping is, but
they do.
Well,
The
you should
internet
know
watches,
anyway.
you know what it
Internet
is.
knows what shipping is.
Yeah.
So Farrah and Mercy is a really powerful duo, and it's colloquially called pharmacy.
yeah, it's
And-
their Hollywood name.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're Hollywood names.
What's the combo name for Tracer and
Widowmaker?
no Why?
Zarya.
Zarya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was
I
a
know
ship.
there's, I know
I
there's
didn't know
a
there
name
was a
there.
ship.
Well,
I didn't
especially because of the Wombo combo. Like
I think they just call it the Wombo. When you do the
That was just-
graviton with a pulse bomb.
That was just a Wombo
they just call
combo.
it
they
the
don't have
Wombo
like a
combo.
shipping
No,
name.
no,
Oh,
no,
like
no,
Wombo
no,
one.
Because that's the original Wombo combo.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So everything that came after it, like Hanzo with the gravitons, called the Space Dragon.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
stuff like that. The only
Space
other ships
Dragon.
I can think of, you
Or
have
Space Jam, they call it.
you have
Yeah.
Pharmacy,
Space Jam, I like
you
that.
have McHanzo.
I know Widowmaker and
Yo,
Tracer
the
were one for a
McHanzo
while.
is like the greatest ship ever.
McHanzo.
They're-
McHanzo's hilarious.
They're great.
Brokeback Mount Fuji is my place to go. That's
Amazing. And I know there was a Moria and Mercy also now
Yeah, the Moira
recently,
Mercy. Yeah, I don't know how you would portmanteau that. But yeah, that was another one that I saw. I actually think, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because they were like
Moria?
rivals
Yeah.
canon
Yeah.
wise. They used to be old co-workers. Anyway, we're getting into some deep lore stuff.
yeah. This is
So
this is
anyway.
weird stuff now that we're talking
That's
about.
the internet. That's the Overwatch on the internet.
Yeah.
All right.
But I really love, when we play together, we usually have a good comp. He usually pocket heals me, so we're pretty good at that. And we usually have a Moira and some other players.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
It's always a
definitely
good
should
time.
get that. We should definitely get that going. I would love to do a stream.
I want to make a
that.
new ship right now. I'm gonna say Moria and Junkrat as a.
That's an interesting. I feel like she'd just get annoyed with
She
him.
would hate jump.
She would
Oh, I know,
literally
I know,
hate it.
I know. But they're both insane, and I feel like that would
But
make a
in
good
different
combo.
But
ways.
Roadhog has
I was going to
Junkrat,
say
though.
the Junkrat
I know the Roadhog
Roadhog,
Junk.
man.
Listen,
Yeah,
I know that that's
already.
there. I know the
Junkhog.
Roadhog
Junkhog,
Yeah.
Junkhog.
Yeah.
I know that ship
They're
exists, and I
buddies, they gotta
like
stick
and I love
together.
it.
Have you read their backstory?
Yeah.
Yes, I've read the backstory.
That's a deranged buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
I want a movie. I want an entire
it's
show
Mad
on
Max
that.
meets Lethal Weapon.
Yes, that's exactly what
Well,
that is.
one of the things that we're hoping for beyond all hope, now that there is an actual connection between Blizzard and Disney, before too long, maybe somewhere in the
Need
future,
that Overwatch show.
we need that Overwatch show.
That
Or
My
at
new
the
favorite
very
show.
least, at the very least, Marvel skins in Overwatch.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
Speculation.
Just all
Speculation.
No,
speculation.
it's all speculation.
Speculation.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt.
That would be
The hopes
really,
and
really
well
cool.
wishes of a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're putting Marvel to everything now. Like, did
Yeah.
you saw when they put Thanos in Fortnite?
In Fortnite, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that was insane. Like,
Yeah.
they're literally infiltrating every ounce of like my happiness, and I'm fine with it.
I'm
It's no
okay.
big deal.
I just
yeah.
like that Princess Leia is a Disney princess.
Yeah, there you
Just
go.
gonna say it.
I'm just saying, man, before you know it, we're going to have the Marvel Center, and that's where everybody's going to play all
Marvel's
their
gonna take over the
esports
world.
at.
Yep.
It's
Marvel
gonna
and
be-
Amazon.
Yeah, man. Marvel and Amazon. See, this happened in Demolition Man, where they had the franchise wars, so all restaurants were Taco Bell.
Right.
My
That is- and they were
favorite.
high class.
I
And
want
they were
that
high
timeline.
Yeah.
you want that
Yeah.
timeline.
You know they did that for the Demolition Man like anniversary.
Yeah.
They had like an upscale Taco Bell, and they made like those dishes that they made in the movie.
That
No
is a
way.
Yeah, they did it.
oxymoron.
They did it for it. It was
Wow.
amazing. They people like actually that got tickets to do that
Yeah.
said it was the best thing they'd ever eaten.
Yeah.
That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as a high-class Taco Bell.
I got a question
Except
for
in
you
the
guys.
future of Demolition Man.
We've gotten a few reports and whatnot of the of some of the teams that are going to be coming in for next year's expansion. You know, Nate Nanzner had mentioned that they're looking at Paris and looking at Guangzhou, China. Did I say that right? Guangzhou, China. So you know, there's at least 4 other places that should be getting teams. What are your predictions?
You just look so lost. You're like, wait a minute.
My brain just like fried out.
Yeah,
It's hot out, guys.
it is
It
quite
is
hot.
I've
It
got
is
some
hot.
back
All right,
sweat
I was about to say I have a fierce back
Just a
sweat.
little bit more our wheelhouse. We'll start you guys off.
Yeah,
a little
start us
bit.
off,
All
yeah.
right. So, South America needs something, right?
It's got to be Rio.
Yeah,
so we're
it's got to be
thinking
Rio.
for one, right?
It's got to be Rio.
Berlin is another great one. You need to get a little bit more of a presence over there.
Because you
like
have
the
Gamescom there,
European
Berlin
area.
would
Yeah,
be
Games
actually.
Yeah.
As well. Yup.
And I personally think there has to be a North European representation because you got a lot of Scandinavians, a lot of
What about
Swedes.
Tokyo?
That'd
See,
be cool.
there's
Tokyo-
some politics going on in
There's-
Tokyo
yeah,
still in the
yeah.
esports
Yeah, with
area.
esports, there's
Well,
a lot of stuff
the
with
gambling
in terms
stuff.
That's
of
true, yeah.
the
Yeah.
gambling rules.
Yeah, they
and how
only just
have
now
to do
opened
that.
it up, so they're still kind of working through some stuff over there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Northern Europe's a great pick.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
Stockholm
Linkser, you got
or
Taimu from up
Helsinki.
there,
Right.
Mendo
Okay.
Kusai.
Exactly.
Yeah, Stockholm or Helsinki, I think would be. A
I'd
good
like
idea.
to see a Canadian team, but I think they might have to wait till season 3 before
You
we
think?
get like a Toronto or a Vancouver, maybe. Yeah.
Toronto would probably be a big big one.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Canada. I don't think we'll see Canada this year. The Midwest needs a dang on team.
Yes, they do. Give
do
us
we-
a Chicago or a Detroit team.
I'm
we're not getting
surprised
a
that
team.
I know we're
Chicago
not.
doesn't
We're not
actually have
getting
a
a
team.
Yeah, no,
No.
yeah,
Chicago
definitely.
not having a team is really weird to me.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's the third biggest city in the nation. How
Yeah.
do they
Yeah.
not have a team? They got 2 baseball teams.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Like LA has 2 Overwatch teams,
Yeah,
so like, why
exactly.
can't Detroit have 1?
Yeah.
Well, California technically has 3 when you put the shock in there
That's
as well.
That's
true.
true,
That's
yeah.
true.
Well, they got all the people.
They
so
do. I mean, it's a
it
big
makes
state.
sense. It
Yeah.
makes sense for them.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
definitely think there has to be some sort of Midwest U.S. representation. And eventually, later on in the future, maybe one more in the South. Maybe we see Atlanta, because right now all they have is Florida Mayhem.
Yeah.
I'd also, honestly, I'd like to see Australia at some point.
That
for a
would be
team,
really
too. I mean,
awesome.
Uber hails from Australia. Custa comes from down there. We know there's a big following down there.
What
But
about
then-
I mean, even in just like Central, like Africa or Egypt or something like that, because I mean, those are big.
The
you know,
only place you can-
Nambani is like one of
Yeah.
the maps. Like we should have teams from like every map. Like that's where Mexico should have a team.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructural problems that would come with
Yeah.
that. I think South Africa is the only place that could really do it right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Egypt. But the thing is also is that, eventually the dream is to have all these teams traveling. And when you have a team going, maybe 1 week from, LA to South Africa,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be absolutely devastating
Oh, yeah.
in terms of travel. I have no idea how you will work out something like that.
Yeah, they'd have to, and like, does Johannesburg have a stadium? Like, where could they do this stuff?
I
Like,
mean,
it would have to be
yeah.
a whole process. So
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
eventually it'll be big enough where we can see all these different countries come in as
Yes.
one, and we could like really push it now then for the Olympics, having all these countries in it. you know?
Oh, you're going to see esports
You're gonna
in
see
the
it
next
in the
Olympics.
Olympics.
Yeah, I mean they're
Yeah,
already trying to
oh,
make
yeah,
polls
yeah.
for the Olympics, but I think
Yeah.
that it would be even better if we had the whole mix of countries that could play.
Yeah, they
against
actually
everything.
just announced an esports liaison group that's working with the Olympic Committee now.
covered
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yep. In fact, Jake and Gaguri actually went out there during the meeting and the creation of that as
Oh, wow.
representatives.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think if the Olympics wants to continue to remain relevant, they got to get esports on board.
That's
And
right.
esports, that is the last layer of legitimacy I think that it needs. If it becomes an Olympic sport, who
Yeah.
can sit around and say, this is not a real thing? Nobody.
Right. Yeah, if
All
it's
right.
part of the Olympics, it's legit.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, we have a fan hanging out. He wanted to come in. Why don't you come in, man? What's your name, buddy?
Kyle or Alphalance Online?
All right, Kyle. And wait, what was it?
Alphalance.
Alvalets. All right, come on. Yeah, come on in. All right. So who are you? I mean, you got your New York Excelsior. That's awesome. Who are you cheering for?
I was like waiting for the question.
Let's go back with the microphone.
Can I just say I'm sorry for your loss?
Thank you so much. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But, not my first choices, but because Philly beat New York, I'm rooting for London.
There we go.
Oh.
Got
Yes.
another London baby on our
You're on
hands.
the right
Awesome.
side then.
I can't
we're
blame
gonna be
you.
right
I
over
can't
here. We're
blame
gonna
you
get
at
the
all.
camera,
I
yeah.
can't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got two
Phillies.
Phillies. We got two Londons. So now we got a third here.
He was
we're
the
ready to go.
tiebreaker.
Yeah, man.
He was the
All right.
tiebreaker.
Who's your favorite player for right now for London Spitfire?
For London, I've always respected and feared Birdring.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is an incredible DPS.
Mhm, that
When
man
he was going
came.
against New York Excelsior in the stage playoffs, I think it was stage 2. Stage 1.
Stage
He
one.
was
Yep.
terrifying to watch. I was just like, we need to just take him out, and then everything's easy peasy. So like now I get to watch him and actually root for him. So I appreciate that.
He came, he saw,
Awesome.
he conquered, especially last night.
And
Yeah,
he
he did.
clicked heads.
Yes.
And he clicked heads.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah, he did. So I gotta ask, what does Nixel have to do to be back here?
I have not heard anyone call it that.
Nixel.
What do they got to do to get back here? I just say take the other teams more seriously. I think like winning 2 stage playoffs, they thought themselves unstoppable. And when they went against Philly in the finals here, they just I think we're too cocky. Like, oh, we beat them before, we'll beat them again. But like,
So do you think that their downfall at the end of Stage 4 and obviously here in the playoffs, was that lethargy catching up to them, or do you think that the rest of the league just sort of started to finally dial in on their tactics?
that is a good question. It could be fatigue. It could be they pushed themselves too hard. But also, like, the meta did change. And maybe if they weren't prepared for that and other teams were already planning for that, like the new Hanzo changes, you see him everywhere now. He's changed everything.
Well, I mean, through all the meta changes in the regular season, Nixel never even had to worry about it because they played dive so well. They just outperformed everyone.
But like even Brigida changed a lot. Like we saw Tracer go from 70% playtime down to like 30-something. So like Sabiolbi is an amazing Tracer, but then like his biggest tool, arguably NYXL's biggest weapon, was nerfed into the ground.
Yeah.
So let's see if they can adjust and change next year. I think we'll see him here if we come back.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I root for New York, being a New Yorker. Right. You know what I mean? But like, obviously, we're big London Spitfire fans, so we're excited to see what they can do. What do you think of the plan out today? Do you think it's going to go to 3 games, or do you think we'll have a shutout? What do you think?
I came here hoping for 3 games, so like give Philly a chance, make it more dramatic for the second game. But last night we saw London really decimate Philly.
But it was close. I mean, there were a lot of couple of those matches that were so close.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
What game
Well,
were
no,
you watching?
Look, they stumbled on Eichenwald, yes, but on Volskaya, which again, Philly had an abysmal win rate there.
Sure.
They held them to overtime on both points. That was a close game.
Sure, I'll give you that. But like, what was the control point? Li Jiang Tower, right?
Oasis.
No,
Oasis.
That's
What-
London's map.
Yeah, I mean,
Still?
sure, it was 2-0, but they went. Well, I think it was. Did they go 99-99 the first one, and like
Oh
99-50
no, for sure. The first
second
one,
time?
it was really
99.
close, and then the second one, London took it, and they just ran with it. And it was a snowball from there.
They still got it back at one point.
I mean, but the thing is, and the reason why I say that is because when you go back and you look at all the stats, Philly actually, out of 3 out of the 4 maps, they actually led in damage. In 2 of those maps, they led in elims. So I think statistically it was a lot closer than it actually appeared to be for some people watching it. So with that said, who is your pick going forward? I know you said you were rooting for London. Give us, a score.
Realistically,
Realistic,
give
okay.
us a score and give us a result.
Well, first off, just to point out the eliminations thing, I think that proves my point that I've said to every Hanzo mate online that gold elims is bullshit. Doesn't mean anything. But to go by score, I would say I would love to see, so it's 5 maps, I would love to see the first match go 3-2 Philly, and then when we get to the next one, it go 1-3 to London.
Okay.
All right.
I think that'd be really dramatic to see. It would give us the most play time aside from just going 3-2, then 3-2 again. But still would end up with London on top, and Philly would get punished for beating my team.
All right.
I think it's a pretty good prediction.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we all
kind of what
sort
we
of said,
said,
too. Yeah, except you guys were in favor of
And
Fusion,
reverse,
and
yeah.
we were in favor of London. Man, thanks for stopping in and kind of hanging out with us. Where can people find you on social media if you want to follow or anything like that?
Sure thing. You guys can find me on Twitter. I'm at AlphaLance, Alpha L-A-N-C. You can also find me on YouTube. I'm a host on a YouTube channel, The Leaderboard, where we talk about Overwatch and other games like that. Check us out. You'll hear my voice and several other very talented people.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, of course,
you.
absolutely. Good luck
Thank you
tonight.
very much. Yeah, thanks for joining.
All right. People are excited. You can't deny it. People are excited to be here. We're excited to be here.
Oh, yeah.
People watching at home are excited to just be a part of it. The energy is just incredible, and I'm so happy that we're all here.
I mean, we've been standing here for a little bit now, and literally I would say about 40% of everybody who's walked by has had on Overwatch branding
Yeah.
of some sort.
And the other 60% have been looking at us like, what's
What is
going on over here?
happening?
They're like want to know what's going on.
Yeah, we got people
doing the
camping out
John
already.
Travolta meme.
Yeah, man, we got, people are already camped out to get those general admission seats. So, after we're done, you probably should head over
I know.
there.
I recognized actually the guy in
You
the.
got one of these?
I didn't get a chance to.
Heartbreaking.
I recognized when I was watching the Twitch stream last night, there was a London Spitfire fan who was in the front row screaming and yelling, and he looked like that he was so just like having the time of his life. And as I'm out here, he's the first one in line.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the first one in line.
Let me
First
just
guy
tell you this
over
right
there.
now, because we were out at the Burbank Arena during Stage 4, one of the nights that Soul was playing, and you ain't seen super fans till you see the front row of all the Soul fangirls Like when they get up in there, the lungs on those girls.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe it. Yeah.
Usually, if you watch any OWL stream from that Burbank arena, there's usually one girl who just it is literally just a random high pitched scream. I got to meet that girl, and I was so happy because I wanted to put a face to such a ridiculous
Whoever had that
sound.
I need
noise
friends.
coming out, right?
And I was just like, I hear you every week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Thank you for your enthusiasm.
Thank you for your enthusiasm.
If
That
you guys
was
are just
it, yeah.
if you guys are just joining us, this is Be Terrific. We are the Wide World of Games. I'm John Donadio, aka Some Beardy to Love.
And I'm Katie McKinley, aka Gonna Shock Them.
And we have Robbie and Norris with us from Checkpoint Radio.
Yes, sir.
Give out your handles, all that stuff for everybody to look.
Norris Hour, you can find me at Great Laker Nori. That's Nori on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me at Robbie_Landis CP on Twitter. And everything that we do can be found at twitch.tv/Checkpoint Radio and Check PT Radio on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
So for those that kind of missed out maybe 2 days ago or whatever when you guys were on our show, tell them a little bit about Checkpoint Radio.
Yeah, so Checkpoint Radio is a terrestrial, traditional radio show that covers esports and gaming. We're featured on we're affiliated with almost 60
Nearly
radio
60.
stations
Wow.
across all the U.S. and Canada. And basically, we do a sports radio take on esports, so it's familiar for a bunch
And
of
it's
people to listen
50-50 esports and general gaming stuff too. So we had like a big E3 show when E3 happened. So even if you're not into esports and you're just into gaming,
Yeah.
it's still something that you'd
There's
enjoy.
still something for everyone
And,
to watch.
Yeah, if you go to checkpointradio.com, we have a list of all our affiliates, the time we air. So that way, if you want to try and catch us on the real radio, that's the way to do it.
Well,
Yep,
what if
and-
they're not syndicated in your?
In
where
that
can they
case,
hear
you can download episodes from our website. We actually put them out Friday, so you don't get them late or anything like that.
Okay.
And if you download Mixcloud on your smartphone, that's actually the way that I do it. They download instantly for you.
Great.
That's awesome.
Yep, and you can also find the Checkpoint Radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts. That's iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff.
And our Overwatch podcast, Low Team Damage.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
So definitely check us out, man. And we do a sports radio take. So even if you don't like esports or video games and you just want something new and fresh to listen to, check us out because it's quite entertaining. And no, we don't all hate each other in real life, even though I know it sounds like
Even though there's a lot of yelling and screaming. And you can find Katie and I at Wide World of Games nightly at 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
That's right. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter, it's WWOG_, and on Instagram, it's Wide World of Games, all one word. So go check
Awesome.
us out.
Awesome. All right. So now that that's done, a little bit more about this. A little bit more about Barclays, about the energy of Barclays Center right now
Man,
at
I
the.
never get tired of looking at
I was
that.
about to
Right?
say, this
So-
how cool is that? How cool
I love
is
it.
the fact that just splattered across this big, huge arena is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, this is the game that got me back into online multiplayer because for the
Oh.
longest time, I was actually as a girl in the gaming community. Whenever I would be online, I'd be online for Halo or for COD. Two of the worst possible games for me to possibly be on.
Yeah.
But I would be online and trying to play, and everyone would purposely try and wreck me because I was on chat, and obviously I was a girl, and they could
Oh
hear
my
it.
God.
So I made an inconspicuous gamer tag, so it could be like gender neutral, and then I stopped playing online games altogether.
Oh, man.
And it wasn't until Overwatch came out where I was like, oh man, this actually is a fun game, and I want to continue to do this, especially since all of my friends were included on it. And this is probably the first game that has impacted my life as much as it has.
Yeah, there's definitely something powerful and potent about it because prior to this, I didn't play any type of competitive online games. I played MMOs and stuff like
Right.
that. But Call of Duties, I do the campaign.
Yeah.
And then I'd skip on the multiplayer.
That's what I
You
do.
are
Yeah.
You are so lame.
Anyway, so Overwatch comes out though, and actually my roommate had bought it for me because he played through the beta, and he doesn't like first-person shooters, and it
Right.
pulled him in as well. There's just some magic that Blizzard has that they put into their games that captures the imagination.
And I had a similar experience to you. Is that I wasn't playing a lot of I was playing a lot of first-person shooters, kind of in that mid 2000s, late 2000s.
Yeah.
Call of Duty especially. And for me, yeah, it was you get on voice chat and just some of the vile stuff that you hear
Oh, God, yeah.
over the chat. And, it kind of, slowed me down from playing online shooters. And then Overwatch comes out, and I just tried it on a whim because there was so much good energy around it. I played the beta, and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is brilliant.
Mhm.
And, you know, when I got into the comms and people were slightly less toxic,
Yes.
I was like, this is pretty cool. I can
Mhm.
rock with this. And now it's become one of my favorite games that I've ever played.
Mhm.
And to see it on this scale is absolutely amazing.
Mhm. And I think what Blizzard does so well is not only did they create such a beautifully crafted game, they have the stories, the lore, the way they market it and bring out certain characters. This is a backstory. Here's a new character. Wait for their backstory come next week. You know, we have constant competitive play when they introduce that. And it's just a camaraderie of positivity. And my favorite thing is when I'm on voice chat and I hear a 10-year-old kid like wrecking shot with Hanzo or Genji, and I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go get it. And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, this is the best. Like, it's my
Well,
favorite.
you have a.
It sucks to
story
get
you were
wrecked by that
playing
kid,
with.
though.
Yeah. I have a weird history through competitive Overwatch. Seasons like 1 through about 4 or 5, I went from high silver all the way down to less than 500. Like, they don't actually put you below 500. You get a little less than symbol.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yep.
I didn't either, actually, I
It
won't
sure
lie.
was. So I was down the dumpster for a while. And the first really big win streak that I got on was when it was me, there was some other dude, and I was solo queuing. And then the 4 other people were all, they must have been like 10 through 13, right? And just carried me and this other guy through like 5, 6, 7 wins. It was incredible. Like, they were all really positive back and forth to each other, communicating.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, why can't adults be like this?
Yeah, right?
That's a big thing for competitive play. Even quick play, if you want to win, you got to be able to team chat. And the problem with a lot of online games is that that's a really toxic area to be in sometimes, and you don't really want to do it. So I think Overwatch has been taking those countermeasures.
Oh, yes. They've been very good
they're
with
banning a lot of people that are really nasty, and then people are more willing to talk now.
And now they have that endorsement system, which, you know, rewards people for being nice
Right.
instead of necessarily punishing people who are being jerks.
Right.
And I think that's an overall net positive for the game. And I see people actively, you know, tempering themselves, actively trying to be a little bit more communal
Right.
because that because everybody wants to, you know, get the nice little
Yeah,
symbol
of
next to their
course.
name
Yeah.
so they can maybe get some extra, you know, skins or something like
Yeah.
that, sprays. Everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
So everybody's being much nicer to each other. I think that's great.
Now, speaking of the characters and backstories, I wanna know, what's your guys' take on the newest addition to the Overwatch roster, Hammond? His name is
We're not
Hammond.
calling them wrecking balls.
He's Hammond. That's
He
his
is
name.
Hammond, yeah. As Wrecking Ball, Hammond. You know what? I'm gonna let Katie handle this one first.
Okay.
Because I want to hear your voice.
All right.
That's all.
Thanks. I appreciate you. Anyway, when I first saw, you know, the intro for Hammond, both John and I were kind of just like, who is this going to be? This is a ball. It's going to be another robot, really? And then we saw the little face pop up, and we were like,
Those little
are
jumping
you
G's.
kidding me? But the thing is that he's absolutely like detrimental in gameplay, and he creates so much chaos, guys. As you're playing, I played recently, getting back into it, and I was in a match, and all I see is just Hammond spinning around everything and like literally bombarding every single player in its wake, and I was like, holy lord, this is actually really cool.
There are definitely some levels where he is like, you got to top pick him because
Yes.
he can totally wreck shop. But there are other ones where he's almost detrimental to the team, and you really need to change it up.
Well,
we didn't see him once last night.
Well, he's not in competitive.
Oh, he's not? Oh, they
yet.
didn't
Yeah,
let him
they-
do it? Oh,
they-
okay.
they
Because I was going to
always
say,
try to
wow,
play-
I can't believe that no one picked him.
Yeah, they always try to play a patch back, you know, to account for that because you
Right.
don't want like any weird metas out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that you're right. There are some maps where he would be absolutely worthless. A map like Junkertown is very open
Right.
and very sight lines are very important.
I don't know. I have to disagree with that because with a lot of verticality, you could make a lot of great use with his pile driver.
No, you
Interesting.
couldn't because
Yes,
you
you could.
still need bridges. You still need things for him to
Right.
attach on. And the thing is, he's all about controlling a space. And on
Yeah,
that,
and those
and
are
on those
tight spaces. That
no,
you
but on
have
those
to move the
but on those
payload.
payload maps, especially on maps where you got somebody that could go Farah, which is a hard counter for Hamster right now.
And then you just bring yourself out a hit scan.
Listen, what you're talking
This is
about
what
is
we live
people
for, by the way.
who use strategy. Everybody doesn't do that. So what I'm saying is, on stuff like Lijiang or Nepal, that's when you're going to see a lot of Hammond.
Yes.
You're going
I've
to see
seen
a lot
some
of them.
amazing Hammond plays on Numbani. I've seen some amazing Hammond plays on
Numbani.
Kings Row. There was a great back cap clip where as you're coming into the final bend where that pit is, jumps down, hooks himself up, and bumps up on the other side where the payload was as his team was being pushed back. Single-handedly back caps it.
Well, I think
you need to expand your mind, Norris, okay?
I don't like
Very-
Hammond. I don't like him.
Because you don't like Hammond doesn't mean other people can't find ways
I want
to
Junker
utilize
Queen.
him.
no, my
I want
Give
Junker
me Junker
Oh,
Queen.
Yeah,
Junker Queen
no,
would be
no.
great.
No.
I was saying we need more Junkertown people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just-
Well, Hammond
Technically.
technically is a Junkertown character.
He was their
I
champion.
guess. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Yeah,
No.
but I want Junker Queen. Man.
I think it's definitely something that we can agree on, that it just depends on who's playing as Hammond.
Oh, absolutely.
And where
Yeah.
their skill set is at, because obviously there are going to be some maps that are going to be more challenging than others, but it depends on the player's skill to be able to finesse that and kind of use it in their favor.
Well, definitely. I mean, the skill ceiling for Hammond is very high.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right. If somebody uses him, it doesn't matter the map.
Who's
going to
be the Mickey of Hammond?
That's what I want to
Yeah.
see. Who's going to be the person who could just take Hammond and play them in such creative ways that we're like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because the way Mickey was playing Brigitte in stage 4,
Like a ninja?
he was playing Brigitte like a Genji.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
didn't understand it. So it was
Nobody else did. That's
Nobody
why they
else
couldn't
did,
stop
too.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future we see something like that with Hammond. But he's not my favorite right now.
Okay.
I think out of the new people, I think the one I'm the worst with, like all the DLC people that come out, is really Doomfist. I cannot figure out a way to
I'm
play with
with you,
Doomfist
man.
I'm
at
terrible.
all.
Like I understand how people use him, but
Yeah.
then in practice, I can't do
I
it.
yeah, I
control
can't
him.
do it.
Can't
I
do
don't
it.
know, when I get him in Mystery Heroes, I'm pretty effective.
Really?
Yeah.
I die immediately. Like
Really?
almost immediately. I'm
Yep.
in there, I'm Mystery Heroes, I got Doomfist, I'm like, all right, let's see what I can do.
You blow all your
Plop, plop, plop.
abilities.
I get an uppercut, come down, smash down, dead.
I didn't even try. It's fine.
No, I'm getting better. Especially seeing players like
Hydration.
Hydration using Doomfist, starting to see sort of how they move. I'm getting a better idea for Doomfist. I might try to pocket him, have a pocket Doomfist, especially for those weird comps. Yeah, I can
Well,
see
you
myself
know,
doing that.
one of our interns, Skuro, he's actually pretty good at Doomfist. You could always take some tips from him.
Why are you giving praise to Skuro? Sorry.
We don't
Trying to
praise
give
the
you-
interns
Just
anywhere.
trying to give you an avenue to improve yourself.
I'm not. There's nothing Skuro can do to me that will improve.
What do you guys think
anything
about Moria?
Moira's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually
Moira's-
started using Moira a little bit more in comp if somebody else interlocks the Mercy, because that's usually my go-to.
Yeah.
And getting a lot better with her. Early on, because the way that her orbs are sort of attached, like you hit her ability, then you have to choose which one.
Right.
It's a little weird getting used to her, but now
Because,
it's like if you're not
because they're
healing-
opposites.
Right.
So like the right trigger is the left hand if you're a controller
That's
person.
if you're on console.
Right. But
Well, it's the same.
It's still
thing
the same
with,
thing on the mouse.
With the
On
mouse.
mouse
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
Yeah.
It's accurate. Left click, left hand. Right click, right.
Right. No, what he's saying though is normally if you're used to playing offense, your left click is your primary fighter.
No,
to
yeah, you're
kill
right,
something.
you're
right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it was so opposite for me to get used to, and I really need to find out if I can change that on console because it drives me crazy.
You should be able to, because you can even change it, if you wanted to.
I don't know if you
on
can
PC's
change it
more
for her.
friendly.
Yeah, I don't know if you can change it
PC's
for her
more friendly.
specifically.
I'm just gonna have to download a PC.
Yeah,
and
but
play.
I love Moira. I think she's my second favorite healer because my most effective healer easy is Ana. I'm
Yeah.
easily the best healer with her, but Moira I think has changed the game more. She's more in the meta right now than Ana, so yeah, I
Especially
really
if
like
you're running
Moira.
that slambulance.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's true.
yep. We saw that
We
very
did.
briefly.
On Volskaya.
Yeah.
A lot of people were criticizing it, but as Norris said when we were in the stands, it's
It's
only
only
gotta
gotta
work
work
once.
Yeah, I was
That's
like, wow, I
true.
can't believe they're trying it a third time, and then that's what he said. It's only gotta work once.
Well, because and the reason you do that is, look, if you can take the point on just one push, yeah, cool, great. But you're working up to that graviton. That's your like 100%. This is
100%.
what's going to take it for
Yeah.
us, and it does take a minute to get to.
Now, I hate to, pause the conversation, but we do have to go to a quick break, guys. So make sure to stay tuned. We'll be about a minute or two. We'll be about 2 minutes, and we'll be right back with more conversation live from the Overwatch League Grand Finals in Brooklyn. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are live at the Overwatch League Grand Finals here in Brooklyn. I am Katie McKinley, aka Gonna Shock Them.
And I'm John Donadio, aka Some Beardy to Love.
That's right, and with us we have the guys over from Checkpoint Radio. Introduce yourselves.
I am Norris.
And I'm Robbie Landis.
All right, guys,
Awesome.
we've been here all morning talking everything Overwatch, talking everything of what has been going on, between last night, our predictions, everything in conversation from our own personal experiences with Overwatch and, the community. Guys, this has been such a great show. Is there anything else that we want to say for what's going on today?
I think it's time we start to talk to some of the fans out here.
Oh,
There are people already lined up, sitting down, hanging out in the shade as much as they can, because it is a hot one out here today. We actually got someone standing over here. Why don't you come on in? Come on in and say hi. Come on in and say hi. What's your name?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome.
Awesome. We are Be Terrific Radio. We have a show called Wide World of Games, and we are here covering the
Big
Grand
giant thing
Finals,
that's here.
the big thing that's behind us. Tell us, obviously from your shirt, we know who you're rooting for.
Go London.
Aces high, baby. All right. Well, why London?
My best friend started getting me into the league after I'd been playing the game for a couple months.
Okay.
And she really liked London, so obviously I can't watch the game with her and root for another team. But then I started loving them for themselves, and it's just my team now.
Right.
Yeah.
Camaraderie is what brings us all together,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Who's your player? What's your number one player now that you've been watching?
Badoshin.
Yes, high five, yes! My player.
It's like the first non-bird ring that I've heard in nonprofit,
No,
so
he's a
that's awesome.
charismatic kid.
is, yeah.
Similar main.
Okay,
Okay.
that would do it then.
There's
Okay.
something special about the poor man's Jonak.
Oh.
You
I
need
got to know
support.
Nick's autograph yesterday, and I literally just died. We got all of the New York Excelsior's autographs, and I'm just
That's awesome.
still dead.
At the
I
Nixle pop-up
shook
store?
his hand, and I'm hoping that some of his power will rub off on me.
All of your good energy,
That's
please.
awesome. All right, so what are your predictions for today's matchup?
New York's gonna take it, or not New York. Jesus, it's that kind of day. London's gonna take it. First game. We're gonna.
First game.
Wow.
That's the first time I've heard that
Whoa.
today.
Philly
That's the first
is
time we've heard
not gonna get a single win. We're not gonna take it.
Oh man, they're not going to
Wow.
take it. Spitfire,
That's confidence right
Spitfire
there.
confidence. I love it. What do you guys got to say about that?
I mean, you know, based off what we saw yesterday, definitely I can see where the confidence comes from. It's misguided as it may be. But I definitely see what you're saying. Bird Ring and Prophet showed up big. So definitely I can see why you're confident.
Profit the hard carry, guys. Profit the hard
Yeah.
carry.
Well, and something that we've seen in the playoffs overall is that momentum is a big determining factor, and that is something that London has in their back pocket right now.
I think you're right, though, when you say Fusion's backed up against the corner now, and they're going to try and push as hard as possible.
Yeah.
Do you see anything that Fusion could come back at least to give us another game?
I mean, Fusion's a very emotional team. They run on emotions. Their gameplay is really based on their energy as a team. I think that they are feeling the loss from yesterday. They might have a little bit of push, but London, as also an emotional team, you know, they're riding the high from yesterday. They're going to push harder.
Right.
All right, there we have it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Good luck. Aces high.
We gotta find some Philly fans.
We got to find a Philly fan for you
I'm
guys.
gonna go grab them.
All right.
Let's
All
grab
right.
those Philly fans.
All right, grab a Philly fan. Come on over. Again, we are here at the Barclays Center. Just so you guys know a little bit about the history of the Barclays Center, we wouldn't have this if it wasn't for a certain musical guest
Oh,
that
goodness.
came here, and Jay-Z built this place up to the way it really, really is, I think. So we're happy that he put in money and time and everything that we could really come over and have the Barclays Center. We're going to bring over some Philly Fusion
we found
fans
some
right
Philly
now
fans.
so they could bury us a little bit.
here we go.
Guys,
Let's get in
how
here. Let's
are
get
we
in here.
doing
Let's get in
tonight?
here.
How is everything going?
Awesome. Having a great time.
So we know that you guys are clearly Fusion fans. That's great. Are you guys from Philly?
I live there now.
Okay, so you gotta shoot for the home team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right, so we saw London kind of pile drive them a little bit yesterday, excuse me. What's your prediction for today's day?
I'm hoping it's a long day. We got 2 matches today. Philly takes both.
Okay, it's gonna be running for the 2. What about yourself?
Philly's kind of an emotional team, and so I'm hoping they don't get too shaken by last night, that they come back strong and determined.
And yourself?
Yeah, I hope Philly comes back, comes out of the gate strong, and if they can do that, I think they can take both matches.
Awesome. So who's everybody's favorite player on the Fusion?
It's got to be EQO. His fair play is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say EQL also.
I don't want to sound too basic, but I'm going to go with Carpe.
Carpe.
He's a demon.
Carpe's never a bad pick. Never
No,
a bad
not at
pick.
all. As small as he is, he's still a massive play.
Packs a
in
big
and
punch.
of
A big
himself.
player, big time player.
So we think you guys you're running for both. All right. What are the outcomes? Is I think of what we're thinking for each round.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Each
see?
round.
Do you see all 5 games? Do you see shutouts? What do you think?
First set, it's going to be 3-1, and then 3-2. It's going to be all
All the way to the end.
What about yourself?
That sounds about right. I think Philly kind of plays a little scrappy, so we might see long, 5 games for each of these matches. That's what I'm.
And you put up good. There we go.
Yeah, I think they're pretty evenly matched. So I wouldn't expect a 3-0 or anything like that. I would expect 3-1, 3-2 type. I don't think they'll just sweep them.
Yeah. So we're going to pretty much 4 to 5 games today, but we're going to have the 2.
Yeah. Now, did you guys see the back of this gentleman's shirt? Because he has the champion signatures on the back
dude,
there.
that's
Look at
awesome.
him.
That's going up in some value right there.
I love
That's how
it.
you do
That's
it.
a fan. That's a fan.
Oh, yeah.
They came to Philadelphia, and we saw them at the Franklin Institute.
Yeah.
Very
Nice.
cool.
That's so cool.
That's so awesome, guys.
That's awesome,
Well, I know
guys.
you guys got to get back and get in line and get ready
Yeah,
for the
thank
match
you guys so
tonight.
much for talking with us.
So thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for
Appreciate that.
talking.
Whoop.
I got sweaty palms, or else can shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
Enjoy
Sweaty
yourselves.
palms.
All right. So we heard some Fusion fans and London fans. Clearly, even though you have a pick, it seems that people really are just like you know, it could be anyone's game, really.
They have respect for both teams. You know, this isn't
Definitely.
just like a straight up look, my team's the better team, and you know they're taking it all the way. They recognize that the matchup that we got here is one worth watching, and that it's very well going to go all the way.
Yeah.
And also, I love the fact that everybody's acknowledging sort of the strengths and weaknesses of each team. You can tell that these fans are really watching these matches very closely. And what they were saying about Philly, about their emotion, their ability to play with that can also be a detriment for them.
Yeah.
That is something that we have been saying about Philly for the entire season. So it's wonderful to see that level of detail and nuance even coming from the fans. And that's part of what this league is fostering with their viewership.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you know, to be able to see fans out here too, just be able to talk to them. Obviously, we're fans ourselves, but then we get to see people out here excited to be here and like so confident, like we saw with Spitfire and with Philly. And it's so awesome to be able to feel that energy, even from outside, guys. Like inside's a whole like different story, but inside's a whole different story. But outside right now, you can feel it starting to build up as the day goes on.
Yeah, and we're still 2 hours out from doors, and people are still really just press doors.
Just press doors.
Just press doors, and everybody is still kind of meandering around. There's people already lined up, but the entirety of downtown Brooklyn has been just ensnared with Overwatch fever, and everybody in the area is completely enthralled with what's going on, and I love it. I'm loving every single second of it.
Absolutely. It's nice to see when you go, again, like to the restaurants and bars, and even down all the way down by the art center. I mean, people are they're walking around with their jerseys, they're hanging out, they're having conversations about the game, and I think that's going to bring in new viewers and new fans. Overwatch is throwing a free weekend. So, I mean, there's lots of people even just playing in the game itself that might not have been playing before. And they're building the best that they can, and this is something that Blizzard is amazing at.
Oh, Blizzard knows what they're
It's
doing.
overabundance and getting everyone involved.
That's right.
Yeah, and as Robbie said, Blizzard knows what they're doing. They're some of the
Masterclass.
best in the entire industry at being able to keep their finger on the pulse of what's going on. So I definitely think this was a huge win, regardless of who walks away with the trophy today. It's a win for esports. It's a win for video games.
I mentioned on your show last night that Blizzard really started this whole thing in general with StarCraft 2. You know, they really were behind the esports movement in general, and now we get to see them now in full swing.
Bringing it home.
You know, bringing it hard and home, and just like, oh man, it's so much fun to see.
Yeah, you definitely got to love that hot $20 million investment from those teams, too. That has made quite a bit of this possible. But it's without that type of investment, without that type of infrastructure, there's no way any of this is possible. And only Blizzard, I feel, could do this.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to convince, you know, some of those big names and the big money that they were able to, that was 100% the key. You know, going into it, when this first started making the rounds, you know, there were a lot of people who were skeptical, like, really? You're asking $20 million? That's a little steep. But pretty sure we've shown just about everybody.
Yes.
This is beautiful.
Yes.
Oh
Give
my goodness.
Hanzo healing.
Yeah, Hanzo.
How we doing,
Dapper
man?
Hanzo.
I'm John.
John, do you have a handle or anything people can find you at?
Not so solid snake cosplay.
That's amazing.
That's great. That's awesome.
Now, were you here yesterday to watch the craziness that went on?
No, sadly I wasn't. I was back home watching online until my power cut out from the storm.
Oh my God, that storm was terrible.
It was terrible.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh my goodness.
So
Now,
who are we rooting for today?
Fusion.
Fusion. All right.
All
That's
right,
good. What do
see?
what do you think the outcome's going to be?
I'm honestly not sure. I just started watching the Overwatch League recently.
Okay.
So
Well, welcome.
Very new to it. I'm just excited. I'm hoping to see some great plays, amazing stuff.
Totally. Well, you
All
got a
right,
great costume
awesome.
going on.
Thank
Good
you for your
cosplay.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in.
And enjoy
Thank
yourself.
you. Guys, as we saw
Come on over
earlier,
here, bud.
we've had some awesome cosplays that we've been seeing throughout the day, and we're only going to see more. Now we have, looks like a London Spitfire fan.
How we
Hello.
doing, man? How's it going?
All right. London's going to win this easy.
London's going to win.
Just
Flat
straight
out.
up.
Didn't even wait for the
like,
end.
London's
the
gonna
question.
win.
He just,
Right
London's
to the
gonna
point
win.
here.
Who's your favorite player?
I'm not like a direct
Here, move over a little bit more.
London fan, but I want revenge on.
Come on over here.
I couldn't hear anything.
I wanted New York to win because they're the best team, but Philly beat them because Philly's good at the triple tank, double sniper. So, but
Nice.
London's gonna win because they're just better.
All right, so he's a New York fan, but he's cheering for London. Awesome. Aces high, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
All right. Do you think we're going to go to 3 games?
Maybe, but the thing is, EQO is really emotional, so if London wins 1 or 2 maps, he's just going to shut down and not do anything.
Yeah. You can really get into your head in some of these games, especially when these players have so much riding.
And the thing is, because London's made up of 2 Apex teams, they've been up on the stage all the time, and they're used to the tension.
They have the pedigree.
Yeah.
Excellent. So who do you main as when you play?
I'm mostly flex, but
Okay.
mostly DPS. So.
But everybody needs a flex because, sometimes you need to finagle certain, support or DPS or tanks in there, and some people don't have it if you don't have the right combination of people. So flexes are very, very important.
I mostly play DPS, but when I can.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It's the Wide World of Games. What's your name again?
Sam Palmer.
All right, Sam. Thank you. Anybody you got a
Shout out.
Shout outs, anything like that?
Shout out to NA Alive.
All right, man. Well, good luck tonight. Aces high.
Have a great night.
And as you can see, man, and that's just a small sampling of everybody who's out here. There's a ton of fans who have just been walking around, stopping by, even if they, don't get pulled on camera. They're just kind of cooling out and even showing support to us, because that supports us and gives us energy when people seem to be really interested and excited in what's going on.
Absolutely.
And I think that's awesome that we're seeing fans of all ages. I saw a lady last night who looked 50 plus. She just had on her Overwatch gear. She had on her Nixel shirt, and I was like, yo, this is great. This is awesome. She was out. She had a group of daughters that were with her. It was awesome to see that type of generational stuff.
There's a lot of big, you see a lot of families come in, which is an amazing thing to see. It's not just like single fans or groups of buddies or whatever. It's also families. It was a dad, a mom, and their 2 kids with all Overwatch gear, and they're like doing like Fortnite dances in front of stuff.
Yeah. One of my favorite photos from this season was one of the official Overwatch ones where Seoul Dynasty and Jaehong are coming out, and you have this little kid. He must have been like 5 years old, wearing a jersey and like high-fiving him as they were coming out of the tunnel at the Burbank Arena. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually got a chance to talk to some of the Blizzard staff and the Overwatch League staff when we were out in Burbank, and they had this great story about this granddad who brought his grandson, and they were right in the general admission pit, and they just got so enthralled with the stuff that they see the granddad come by himself to the matches now. Like, he just leaves the grandkid at home, and he just comes himself. It's so awesome to hear.
Sorry, I can only get 1 ticket, kid. You're out of here.
You got school today.
Yeah, right?
It's a school night, kid.
Yeah, you can't stay up all night.
Now, do you guys have any final words before we do close out the show?
All right, well, first thing that I want to say is, going into yesterday, we're saying to watch the DPS duels that were going down. And obviously that's one of the most exciting things to watch. But, in one of our post-shows or pre-shows, Norris, you had mentioned keep an eye on Fury. And one of the things that I think people don't realize, because it's kind of an unseen game when you're focusing heavily on watching those big DPS plays but it's really the tanks that helped set those up. And that was one of the biggest boons for London yesterday, was Gesture and Fury were playing out of their mind compared to Sato, Hatva, and Poco.
Yeah.
So going in today, keep an eye on the tanks, because they're the underlying factor that is really going to open it up for the DPS.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. I've been saying it since the beginning of this
Don't
series
sleep on the
that
tanks.
Fury was going to be a major difference maker here. Gesture was going to do what he does, but if Fury has good games, London will win this handedly. I'm still going to ride with Philly, but that's going to be the matchup to watch, is the tanking matchup.
I think so.
And hopefully Philly makes it a long night.
Yeah, we'll see. What about yourself, Katie? Any final words?
Honestly, again, literally what they were saying, don't sleep on the tanks, guys. There are some awesome duos here, and especially when we watch the tank versus tank on each team and how they go up against each other, go head-to-head. I think it's really important to make sure that you're not, just focusing simply on the DPS. I think it's super important to make sure that, you keep a well-rounded eye, especially when there's so much craziness going on while you're watching the match. But everyone, puts in their own bits to make a whole round of success for these teams. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say, as much as the tank, like you're saying, keep an eye on the tanks. really just as team efforts, the support has been doing real work.
Man, those single healers.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, and then when they do have double healers, it's still an amazing match. But support has been great, and I still love, you know, Carpe and EQO going up against Birdring and Profit, and it's just so much fun to watch. They really are like the magic makers when they do something and the crowd just goes insane. But pick your people, pick your characters, and just watch them as intently as possible, because it's going to be amazing either way, whether it's Philly or London. You know, it doesn't even matter at this point.
Capturing
we're just having
history.
Fun. Yeah,
Yes.
we're capturing history. That's what we all want to say here. Okay. We're going to round it out here. I am John Donadio.
Well, 1 second before we go, we need to talk to the chat,
Oh,
friends.
okay. Let's talk to the
chat.
chat.
The chat is going crazy.
Are they?
They're digging the conversation.
Awesome.
And they're all saying hey to everybody.
Well, hey, guys.
Hey.
What's up, chat?
What's
Yes.
happening?
Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us today. Now make sure to watch the last bit tonight, and
Yes.
make sure that you guys find all of us on our social media and talk, so we can build this conversation and talk about every little bit of the matches tonight. Now, I'm Katie McKinley, aka Gonna Shock Them.
And I'm John Donadio, a.k.a. Some Beardy to Love. These guys at Checkpoint Radio. Give out the handles.
This is Norris Howard, a.k.a. Great Laker Nori.
And I'm Robbie Landis. It's Robbie_Landis CP on Twitter. And if you like the conversations going down right here, an hour before the matches start at twitch.tv/Checkpoint Radio, you can see the other half of Checkpoint Radio breaking down all the action for you.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the Wide World of Games edition. We are covering the Overwatch League Grand Finals. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern
Yeah.
Standard Time. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your weekend.
See you soon.